All right, let's get right into it. We're not here for gentle affirmations or, those self-help platitudes. This right here is a practical and, yeah, a pretty cynical guide to taking apart the mental cages we are so good at building for ourselves.
And I really mean that. We're going to tackle this problem not with comfort, but with a cold, hard look at the architecture of our own resentment. Why? Because sometimes the only way out is to walk straight through the brutal truth.
So who is this jailer anyway? This warden who walks the corridors of your mind, making absolutely sure you never wander too far from your cell. Well, let's meet the architect.
Okay, so Act 1. This is a straight-up confrontation. We need to understand who built this prison and what materials they used, because that blueprint, it tells us everything we need to know.
Yeah, it's you. You're the protagonist of this whole drama, the one who, brick by painful brick, built your own confinement. You've become what the source material calls the corrupted architect, masterfully turning your own potential into a fortress of stagnation.
So what's the architect's favorite tool? It's something called the spirit of gravity. Picture it like a heavy anchor inside you that is terrified of progress. It's that voice whispering, hey, stay down, stay safe, just stay with the herd. It's that suffocating seriousness that just crushes any little spark of lightness.
And this slide right here shows you the trade-off perfectly. The spirit of gravity goes on what the sources call an intellectual salvage mission. It takes the gold of stories, your unique, vibrant, unpredictable life, and melts it down into the lead of mortality. You get a heavy, uniform, totally predictable existence. You trade the spirit of becoming for static control.
And here's the kicker. You're no longer just the prisoner. You've been promoted. Now you're the guard. You're a sentinel of resentment, actively protecting the very walls that are holding you in. But why? Why would anyone choose to live in a gilded cage?
Well, that question leads us right into Act 2. This self-made prison, and doesn't actually feel like a prison at first. It feels like safety. It feels like you're being saved.
This is the central deception, the big con. It's called the Pharisees' paradox, and it's the master stroke of your internal jailer. It's a lie so good, so compelling, that you don't just believe it, you defend it. It whispers that the cage isn't a cage at all, it's a sanctuary.
And here's the messed up how-to guide. First, you just rename your limitations. That heavy weight of past values from the herd? That's not a burden. No, that's protective armor. And all that unpredictable, reckless freedom? That's just a dangerous illusion. So you make the trade, and you do it willingly.
This quote just nails the whole transaction, doesn't it? Your potential for growth, your inner fire, is sacrificed on the altar of predictability. It's a clean, logical, and utterly soul-crushing exchange. But there's a flaw in this perfect system. There's a witness.
And that brings us right to the crisis point, Act 3, because it turns out, even in the most secure prison, you can't escape the feeling of being watched. You can rationalize all you want, but some part of you, deep down, knows the truth. The sources call this the divine witness. It's that part of your own consciousness that sees right through the lies, right through the bars of your gilded cage. And its gaze isn't comforting. It is absolutely terrifying. It doesn't see your perfect logic or your so-called protective armor. No, it sees your deepest vulnerabilities, your shame, the crumbling dust inside all your little leaden boxes. Its pity feels like an unbearable intrusion.
So what happens when the rationalizations finally fail? When the walls of the cage just can't block out that light of self-awareness anymore? Well, the cornered spirit does what any trapped creature does. It makes a final, desperate move.
And that move is the psychological climax. To escape the witness, you feel you have to eliminate it. You try to kill that internal judge, that part of yourself that knows your true worthlessness inside the cage. You attempt to silence the source of the shame forever. But what happens when you actually succeed?
And that brings us to our final act, because in the rubble of this psychic murder, a strange, bizarre opportunity opens up. This is where the alchemy really begins.
Without that external witness, you discover that being your own judge is an even heavier burden. You become the ugliest man. This is the spirit of gravity, reaching its absolute densest point. It's the sentinel of resentment, with no one left to blame but himself. This is rock bottom.
But, and this is the critical shift, this absolute low point is not the end. It is the beginning. It's the sacred forge where real transformation can finally happen, because there are no more lies left to tell yourself.
And the escape isn't another intellectual strategy. It's not more static control. It's the complete opposite. It's a Dionysian rupture, an explosion of chaotic, joyful, life-affirming energy. It's embracing everything you tried so desperately to suppress.
So, this is the alchemical process. You confront that self-loathing head-on. You literally dance on the grave of your own suffocating seriousness. You embrace what the sources call the gay science, a joyful yes to all of existence, even the terrible parts. The lead of mortality is reclaimed as vibrant gold. The sentinel falls away, and the creator learns to smile.
And this is where we'll leave it. The path from the corrupted architect to the joyful creator requires a dance with your ugliest self. So the only question left is the one on the screen. Are you ready?